I have a strong appreciation for technology, for how it fits into our lives. I came to try to understand what blockchain is about almost by accident. It was last summer. I was still working at Google in New York for the News Lab, and I came across one line in the morning media newsletter from Politico that said, "Civil is trying to figure out the future of blockchain and journalism." And it was a Neiman Labs article, and I thought, what is this? I've got to learn more. So I reached out to our CEO. His name is Matthew Iles, and we set up coffee, and again, this is back in the summer. He was still just building the foundation for what Civil is even today, and hopefully will be in the future. And I don't think we set good parameters for what this meeting was. I think he thought I was there to possibly invest in Civil. Maybe I was hoping that maybe there was a role for me to play in what they were building and growing, because it sounded so interesting. And as he went through this presentation on his laptop, I slowly started to understand some of the possibilities of what's involved, but I wanted to know more. I couldn't let it go. So I reached out to him, we continued conversations, and I left Google at the end of last year and joined Civil. This is our team. We're a small company. I'm really proud to represent these 12 other individuals. These are some of the most talented, bright people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I'm humbled to be here in front of you today. We're a distributed team. Some of these folks are in New York, California. We have an engineer in Warsaw. We're slowly growing our team, trying to grow at the right rate as any startup would. But these are folks who are passionate about the future of journalism. These people could have gone to work for lots of other tech companies, maybe even in the blockchain space, but they found that journalism was their calling, and they thought this was the most important place for them to be, and I respect that. So just a little bit about Civil and our foundation and how we're getting started, and then I'll get into some of the mechanics and what we're planning to launch in spring. So I think somebody here asked about what's coming in the future. This is the near future. We are backed by Consensus, which is the largest Ethereum studio or accelerator in the world. They have an office in Bushwick, in Brooklyn. Our co-working space is in Gowanus. They are founded by, among others, Joe Lubin, who's one of the co-founders of Ethereum. If you're not familiar with Ethereum yet, I encourage you to check it out. As it compares to something like Bitcoin, which people think of as primarily a cryptocurrency or a store of value, Ethereum is about much more. It's about building distributed apps, or dApps, that tap into the power of blockchain technology. There are more than 700 employees that are now part of Consensus, and we received $5 million US in funding from them last year. Of that, we used $1 million to help create our first fleet newsrooms, and I'll get into what those are in just a little bit. So I think most of us can agree that the future of journalism feels threatened for lots of different reasons. We could get into billionaire owners who pull their funding at the last minute and leave journalists in their wake. We see headlines like this of journalists getting laid off, particularly in the US, but we know it's happening around the world. There seems to be this cry for help. What can be done? Are the ad models ever going to work? Is video the answer? What is social media going to do for us? What about subscriptions? Lots of questions, not necessarily a lot of answers. We hope that we are one of those. I think we can also agree that the public is losing some trust in what the media is up to, what journalism is doing. How can we try to reset that conversation, that experience, that exchange? What is the value that we put on quality journalism? And believe me, I hear skeptics all the time. You're asking people to pay for journalism, for content. What do you expect people to do? This isn't happening. We don't see that this is happening. Well, we're trying to create the right platform, the right marketplace for that to thrive. We think that a decentralized marketplace for journalism built on blockchain technology is where this can happen. This is an ad-free platform where we want and expect quality journalism to thrive. We are also going to be launching a Civil token, which I'll get to in a little bit, and I'll talk about the utility purpose of a Civil token and what it enables people to do. And for a second, put aside what you know of cryptocurrency and paying for something with a civil token. And I want to encourage you to think about things like self-governance and governance on the platform and getting involved from a grassroots standpoint. What we're trying to create is a much more direct relationship between newsrooms and audience. And that means taking out advertisers. It means taking out some of the platforms we know today. I know this feels radical. I know this feels different. I know it feels uncertain. Believe me, I was with you about 6 months ago, not knowing a lot about blockchain, wondering about where this was going to be headed, and I'm a convert.